3 years ago today, the Russian Federation launched a brutal attack on a free, democratic, prosperous people in the nation of Ukraine. The Ukrainians had been preparing for the attack with the Ukrainian army in the field for 2 weeks, but President Zelensky believed right up until the moment that the missiles started to fly that his country would not be attacked because of the international rule of law. The United States immediately stood with Ukraine and, in fact, had been preparing for the Russian invasion and warning and sending Ukraine defense equipment that it would need to defend their own borders. I spent a month in Ukraine before this invasion, and the very night of the invasion, I just happened to fly out of Lviv, Ukraine, to Frankfurt, Germany. And by the time I had landed, the missiles were flying. I went back to Ukraine almost immediately after returning to the United States, getting the combat equipment that I had from my past, and returned to join the Ukrainian army as a member of the International Legion. I stayed in Ukraine for almost a year as a member of the Ukrainian army. And let me tell you something. I was proud as an American to join a force of people that believed in freedom, that believed in liberty, that espoused all the values from the city that I grew up in, Philadelphia, where the Declaration of Independence was signed by our founding fathers. It was a proud moment for me. I went on television and even announced that I had joined the International Legion, and I was immediately targeted by the Russian Federation. In fact, I was on one of the top Russian TV shows that very night. And as my associates from Ukraine military intelligence said to me, Vladimir Putin knows your name. It was a proud moment for me. And every day since has been proud for me to support the people of Ukraine. And there's a few reasons why. If you look over my shoulder here, there's a painting. It was commissioned for the International Legion. It was done by a good friend of mine, Mike D'Antuono of Art and Response. And it's a painting of the first 2 women and children to die in the invasion. A Ukrainian army soldier, a sergeant, who was stationed in eastern Ukraine named Irina. She was a mother of 5 children, and she was killed in combat in the first day of the war. The little girl below her is called Paulina. She was traveling with her mother, her father, and her brother out of the city of Mariupol when Russian forces shot their car and killed them. The only way this child could be identified was a wrist bracelet with the word Paulina written on it. And after some time, they found a photograph and identified who this poor child was. These acts and atrocities made me join the Ukrainians in their day of need, the most desperate time, when the odds were against them. 175,000 well-equipped Russian soldiers invaded Ukraine. And all of us who went over to join the International Legion and Ukrainians who swarmed back home went back to defend freedom. I believe in the people of Ukraine. I believe in the values that they hold, which are so close to ours. In fact, this can be summed up. My belief in who they are and what they stand for can be summed up by, in fact, a poem from a 19th century poet in the United States who was a slave being held in Boston, working for a rich slave owner. And her name was Phyllis Wheatley. And Phyllis Wheatley became one of the most renowned poets of the 19th century and a pure original American poet. And as you know, every once in a while, I hold up these mugs from my friends at Steinhagen Pottery in Griswold, Connecticut, because they do the most perfect examples of colonial style mugs. But more importantly, they put words that inspire us. And these words from Phyllis Wheatley are exactly what Ukraine was fighting for. She wrote, "In every human breast, God has implanted the principle which we call love of freedom. It is impatient of oppression and pants for deliverance. The Ukrainian people are impatient of oppression. They do not want to live at war. They do not want to have to sacrifice their men, their women, their children. I believe this in all my heart. I risked my life, my liberty, and my treasure, to use the words of our founding fathers, to help the people of Ukraine. And I do it again gladly. But when I left Ukraine, my battalion commander said, "Malcolm, there's a lot to do here. Stay here with us." And I said, "Listen, you are the eastern wall of democracy and you are holding it. But I have to go home because the western wall of democracy, the United States, is under attack. I'm here to report today that wall has fallen." Yesterday, Donald Trump directed his ambassador to the United Nations in a routine annual event where a United Nations resolution, a resolution which denounces the Russian invasion of Ukraine and calls on nations to stand for freedom. We've signed it every year. It's de rigueur. He ordered her to vote with Russia. The United States would not denounce Russia's invasion of Ukraine and would not stand for freedom. I am disgusted with this person sitting in the Oval Office, in the place where a real president of the United States would sit. I am disgusted with the fact that I dedicated my life. My family has dedicated 152 continuous years of military service to protect, defend, and uphold the values of this nation, the Constitution, and the belief that America is a better nation, is a beacon for all other nations that want to live with freedom in their breast. Yesterday, America officially became part of what I wrote in my 2017 book, The Plot to Destroy Democracy. I wrote that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin aspired to create an axis of autocrats. And yesterday, the United States officially joined the axis of autocrats. At the same time that he was denying in the White House, next to French President Emmanuel Macron, that Russia even invaded Ukraine and that Ukraine started the war, he announced that he would be looking into economic transactions with Russia, which means he's about to lift the sanctions and save Russia, which means the United States will be aligned with a ex-KGB officer's dictatorship. And many of you who are former military, who swore oaths to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, you voted for him to do this. You officially set the United States on the path to dictatorship. I am disgusted with you. I am disgusted with anyone that supports the values of this person. I will not use the word man. This is not a man. This is a mad, power-hungry, authoritarian dictator. And if I could quote the words of General Milley, which is sitting right on I have a 9-foot banner on my front lawn. We did not swear an oath to a tribe. We did not swear an oath to a king. We did not swear an oath to a queen. We did not swear an oath to a nation. We swore an oath to the Constitution. And I, at this very moment, am prepared to give my life for that document. I was born in a naval hospital. I walked the streets and was raised on the very, very streets where the foundation of American liberty, which is global liberty, were founded. The values that existed for 249 years. And now I wake up to the fact that the president, well, let me rephrase that. The person who is now sitting in the chair of the president of the United States has formally taken us over to be authoritarians and are siding with a dictator. We are on the side of, let's see who voted for that, against that resolution. Russia, the United States, and North Korea. That's right. We voted with North fucking Korea against freedom, against liberty, against everything America stands for. I have only one thing to say to the autocrat running this regime. Fuck you. This nation is going to have its own color revolution because I'm telling you right now, we're going to need a second American Revolution to save the goals, the values, the documents, and the beliefs of the first American Revolution. But I believe, like Martin Luther King, it will be nonviolent and it will be people-powered. Malcolm, didn't you write something about this in one of your books? Yeah. Vladimir Putin, when Donald Trump was in Helsinki, apparently cautioned him about color revolutions. Color revolutions are people-powered mass protests where the nation rises up because they've had enough of you. And Putin should know. He had the tulip or the pink revolution in Kazakhstan. He had the rose or the red revolution in Georgia. Then he had the orange revolution of dignity in Ukraine, which overthrew his hand-selected but democratically elected micro-dictator. America, we are in grave danger. I am not saying this is hyperbole. I am not saying this because I like to shout. I don't like to shout. I'm just at that point where, as a former Navy Chief Petty Officer, I have to tell America, you are fucking up. And that we got to secure this bullshit and get the fuck to work. But Malcolm, what does that work? What is it exactly you expect us to do? I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do. We're going to have our own American Revolution. We're going to have the second American Revolution, but not in the way that the MAGA people refer to the second American Revolution. They're saying Donald Trump's sledgehammer and chainsaw to the entire foundation of American life is a second American Revolution. That's not revolutionary. You're just chaos agents. You are drunk monkeys with AK-47s, spinning around, shooting in every direction, having a grand old time with the most unqualified people in the history of the United States. You make that drunk, lascivious governor in Blazing Saddles, played by Mel Brooks, Governor LePeteau, Maine, look like a genius compared to the morons Donald Trump has selected for this cabinet. He has selected criminals. He has selected rapists. He has selected people who have battered their spouses, who drink on the job, conspiracy theorist, a heroin addict to lead our health. I take absolutely no pleasure in telling you that there will be a color revolution in the United States. It will be people power driven. And I will be goddamned if I'm not at the front of it. Because all of you, if you're watching this, you should draw the line here. The line is drawn. We have joined an axis of autocrats. We are supporting a goddamn Russian dictator. Democratic Party leaders, you need to stand up today. Get on your feet and just stop coordinating and cooperating with the Republicans. They are a party of Russian dictators. They are traitors. And I don't use that word loosely. I know treason is the only crime listed in the Constitution of the United States. I know the parameters of it were set because of Benedict Arnold. That we have to be in wartime and that you have to actually provide aid and comfort to the enemy. Well, you know what? We weren't at war when Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were tried for treason. And I don't want to say that. This is rhetorical. But what you are is you have betrayed your oath to the Constitution of the United States. You don't fight for the Constitution. Not a goddamn one of you is protecting it or defending it or supporting it. If you could modify it to say Donald Trump instead of America, then we would understand it. You have betrayed this nation. The Second American Revolution is coming to save the first. We are going to have to save the first revolution. And people say, what are your objectives? What do you actually want? Restoration of America. You know how the Republicans are always going to town halls and they're shouting, I want America back. No, what you wanted was the racist 1964 pre-Civil Rights Act America where white men and white women dominated everything. And guess what? You still do. Business has 98% of CEOs are white. Government, 90% of people in government are white. Why do you feel that working together as a goddamn team to build a greater union, a more perfect union, as Lincoln said, why does it hurt you so much that the other American, your neighbor in need, might need help? Your fucking empathy gene was clearly taken away when you joined this cult. I spent my life protecting and defending this country. I love it. I love it with my heart. It offends me that I have to say this. It offends me. But this government is corrupt. This government is tearing America apart. This government must be recalibrated. We need to be prepared to rise up, people. When I say rise up, I mean you need to exercise your First Amendment right to protest, speak your mind, and seek redress in a nonviolent, peaceful way. For those people who thought they were voting for Jill Stein because they hated the two-party system and both parties are the same, fuck you. For those people who said, I'm voting for the price of eggs and I think Donald Trump can do whatever he wants, let's tear down government, fuck you. You're my neighbor. I will still protect you. I will still defend you. I will stand up to your right to do all the stupid shit that you do because you just fucking did it. But you've destroyed the fabric of this nation and you have turned America into a totalitarian dictatorship. You, the Trump voter. And if you're like, fuck you, bring it on. Okay, bitch, we will. I get all of you. You're up in my comments, sending death threats using the N-word. I still protect you. I will still defend your right to say any stupid shit thing you say. But now you are talking about the destruction of America. You now all side with a former communist KGB officer. And on that point, as an intelligence professional who has dedicated his life to making sure that you aren't destroyed by terrorists or hijacked or shot in the goddamn head and dumped off of an airplane, I say once again, if you think that this is good, that Donald Trump is joined with Moscow and is about to align the United States with Moscow, fuck you. Let me rephrase that. Black man spy has reached his goddamn limit. There are intelligence officers throughout the government now who are tearing their hearts out, trying to decide if they stay in a job to protect and defend the Constitution and the American people, or do they leave government because they work for a motherfucking dictator. It is a hard position. It's like being a fireman in Berlin in 1944. You got to save lives. You got to try to do the job, but you work for a regime that literally works with a Nazi. World's richest man is trying to ideologically push us with his tech bros towards, what do they call it? Neo-reactionism, which is a technological elite who foster a dictatorship, essentially a technological monarchy. And Elon motherfucking Musk, in my humble opinion, thinks that that's him. He thinks he runs this country. This rather impassioned plea to you is actually a warning. FAFO is coming. Not in the way that you might expect. But karma is based on the first words of the Constitution of the United States. We, the people. We are the people. Not the false patriots who put "We the People" bumper stickers on their car or "We the People" t-shirts and at the same time join with Moscow as traitors to the United States. That's like, the America First movement in 1939, putting up pictures of George Washington next to Adolf Hitler. That version of "We the People," you goddamn summer soldiers and sunshine patriots, you are the false flag that pretends to be America. And I gotta fuck you for you too. FAFO is coming. The people will have their say. When it comes, be prepared to greet it. Be prepared to hit the streets and stand for your families, your children, your future. Stand for the America as it has been for 149 years. And if on the 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence, America has to get rid of a dictator, I suspect that we will. Because there are no kings in this country. We got rid of Mad King George III, and we will get rid of Mad King Donald I. And you know that crazy geriatric babbling bastard who wears diapers put out a picture of himself wearing a king crown. Oh, we will recalibrate that, and history will show it, that we are the people, and that we have something to say about this. Hopefully my next Black Man Spy will be a little more calm and a little more rational. You can be goddamn sure that's not going to happen, because there's going to be an outrage today or tomorrow. But I'll be back.